You are waiting for permission that will never come. Right now, in this moment, someone inside you is waiting for the right time, waiting for clarity, waiting for someone to believe in you first, waiting for the external world to shift so that your internal world can finally begin. You have been waiting for so long that you've convinced yourself waiting is a form of responsibility, that patience is wisdom, that caution is protection. But it isn't. The truth that nobody wants to hear is this: no one is coming to save you. No external force will rearrange your life. No perfect circumstance will suddenly make everything possible. No person, no mentor, no partner, no authority will grant you the permission to become who you're meant to be. You already have it. You have always had it. What you're waiting for doesn't exist outside of you. It lives inside. It has always lived inside. This audiobook is not about motivation that fades by Tuesday. It is not about hype or temporary belief. It is about the deliberate construction of an inner architecture so solid, so unshakable, that external noise becomes irrelevant. It is about building a version of yourself that doesn't need rescuing because it never surrendered its power. What you are about to experience over the next 100 minutes is a reclamation, a rebuilding, a choice to stop being the author's secondary character in your own story and instead take the pen with both hands. The work begins now. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Not when you have it all figured out. Now. This is your invitation to rise. Chapter 1. The noise that owns you. Do you know what's louder than your deepest dream? The world telling you to be someone else. Every single day, your mind is a battleground. Notifications arrive like arrows. Opinions land like stones. Comparisons accumulate like dust until you can barely see your own path anymore. You scroll through the curated highlight reels of other people's lives and feel smaller. You watch someone else's beginning and decide it means your middle is a failure. You consume content about how to live instead of actually living. You read about discipline instead of practicing it. You absorb information about success while your own potential sits dormant. This is the noise loop, and it owns you completely. The noise doesn't come to you as a threatening force. It comes gentle. It comes useful. It comes disguised as education, as connection, as inspiration. A little bit more information, a little bit more validation, a little bit more external feedback to make sure you're not moving in the wrong direction. But the noise is never satisfied. It multiplies. It compounds. It becomes the default operating system of your mind, and you begin to believe that listening to everyone else's opinions about your life is the same thing as actually living it. Your attention has become a commodity. Your focus has become fractured. Your energy has become scattered across 1,000 directions that are not your own. And the worst part is that you've learned to call this being informed. You've learned to call this being connected. You've learned to call this research. But it's not research. It's distraction wearing a business suit. Here is what happens when noise owns you. You begin to move in reaction rather than intention. Someone criticizes your approach, and you immediately question it. Someone else succeeds with a different method, and you abandon yours. A new trend emerges, and you chase it. A fear emerges in your mind, and you listen to it like it's truth. You become the marble in other people's games, moving where they flick you, settling where they decide you should land. The noise promises that it's protecting you. It says, "Listen to all these voices so that you don't make a mistake. Consume all this information so that you're prepared. Check everyone's opinion so that you're not alone in this." But what it actually does is paralyze you. It keeps you in a state of perpetual consumption without creation. Perpetual learning without application. Perpetual hoping without doing. And while you're drowning in the noise, your real work isn't getting done. Your real work, the thing that only you can build, the contribution only you can make, the life only you can construct, sits waiting. Waiting for the day you finally get quiet enough to hear it. Waiting for you to choose focus over noise. Waiting for you to understand that one clear intention is worth more than 100 diluted inputs. The decision point is this: you can continue the way you are, absorbing everything, doubting everything, comparing yourself to everyone, or you can make a choice right now to quiet the external noise and listen to the internal compass that has been trying to speak to you all along. Choose the work over the noise. 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 The noise will never make you whole. The noise will never build your empire. The noise will never write your story. Only you can do that. Only you, in silence, with focus, with intention, can construct what you're meant to construct. And that work begins the moment you stop listening to everything else. Chapter 2. Ownership starts when blame ends. You have been given a villain in your story, and it's not who you think it is. There is something powerful about blame. It offers relief. It provides an explanation. It lets you off the hook. The economy wasn't ready for you. Your family didn't support you. Your circumstances weren't ideal. Your timing was off. Your resources were limited. The system was rigged. If you look hard enough, if you dig deep enough into your past, into your environment, into the world around you, you can find an enemy, an obstacle, a reason, a justification for why your life isn't what you want it to be. And the weight lifts, temporarily. But here's the truth that separates those who transform from those who remain the same. The moment you accept the story that someone else is responsible for your life is the moment you've surrendered all your power. You've made yourself a victim, not of circumstance, but of your own thinking. You've voluntarily stepped off the throne of your own existence and handed the crown to external forces. Blame is a prison you built yourself, and the bars are made of conviction. Ownership means something completely different. Ownership means looking at your life exactly as it is, not as you wish it were, not as it should be, but as it actually is, and saying, I am responsible for this. I may not be responsible for what was done to me, but I am entirely responsible for what I do about it. I may not have chosen my starting point, but I am choosing my direction from this moment forward. This is terrifying. This is also liberating. When you own your life completely, you gain something that blame can never give you: power. Not the kind of power that comes from having the perfect circumstances, but the kind that comes from knowing that you are the architect of your next move. You can't control the market. You can control how you respond to it. You can't control what people say about you. You can control whether you believe them. You can't control the obstacles that appear. You can control whether you let them become the end of your story. The work of ownership is daily. It's not a one-time realization after which everything becomes easy. It's a practice. Every single morning, you wake up and recommit to the fact that your life is your responsibility, not a punishment, a privilege. Every single time you face a setback, instead of searching for who to blame, you ask, what did I not see? What could I have done differently? What do I do from here? These questions are not self-blame. They are self-direction. You begin to notice that when you stop waiting for someone else to create your circumstances, you become remarkably capable of creating them yourself. You begin to notice that the energy you used to spend defending your position and justifying your situation is now available for something else: building, growing, moving, becoming. Guard your mind. Own your path. Guard your mind. Own your path. Guard your mind. Own your path. This is not a lesson about toxic positivity or pretending your circumstances don't matter. Your circumstances do matter. What matters more is what you decide to do inside them. And that decision, that fierce, daily, recommitted decision to be responsible for your own elevation, is the only force that has ever transformed a human life from one story to another. The blame ends now. The rise begins here. Chapter 3. The depth nobody talks about. You are not shallow. The world is teaching you to stay that way. Everything around you is optimized for the surface. Quick takes, instant reactions, shallow scrolls, soundbite solutions, viral moments, the illusion of transformation in 30 seconds. But real change doesn't happen on the surface. Real change happens in the depths, in the place where you do the work nobody sees, in the discipline that doesn't perform, in the thinking that nobody applauds, in the room where you're alone with your choices and your character. Depth is what separates those who last from those who fade. When you commit to working in the depths, something shifts. You stop caring about the appearance of progress and start caring about actual progress. You stop performing for the audience and start building for yourself. You stop asking, "What will this look like?" and start asking, "What will this require of me?" You move from external validation to internal integrity. This is where the real work happens, not in the flashy moments, in the quiet ones, in the early mornings before anyone knows you're working, in the research nobody will see, in the conversations only you will remember, in the small decisions that compound into massive results over months and years, in the discipline of showing up even when there's no immediate reward, no applause, no proof that it's working. The depth is where you discover who you actually are, separate from who you perform to be. Many people fear this. They fear the silence. They fear the lack of external feedback. They fear that if they're not documenting it, did it even happen? They fear that if they're not being seen, they're not becoming. But the opposite is true. The most powerful transformations happen in obscurity. The deepest character work happens when no one is watching. The most unshakable confidence comes not from external validation, but from knowing that you've done the work in the place where nobody sees. This is what separates the temporary from the permanent, the viral from the valuable, the shallow from the unbreakable. When you commit to depth, you're committing to a completely different measurement system. You're not measuring success by likes or followers or accolades. You're measuring it by who you're becoming, by the gaps you're closing, by the promises you're keeping to yourself, by the skills you're developing that no one needs to certify, by the discipline you're building that no one needs to reward. Stack the days, stack the wins, stack the days, stack the wins, stack the days, stack the wins. This is not about being invisible forever. This is about understanding that visibility is a consequence, not a cause. Build in the depths. Become unshakable. Then step forward when you're ready, not before. you will find that the work done in silence carries a weight and a power that the work done for an audience can never match. The depth is calling you. It's asking you to go deeper than the noise, deeper than the performance, deeper than the need to be seen, deeper into the actual construction of yourself. Go there, stay there, build there. Chapter 4. The Cost of Staying the Same. You know exactly what it costs to stay exactly where you are. It costs you sleep. The version of you that could be hovers at the edge of your consciousness while you try to rest, and the gap between who you are and who you're meant to be creates a low, persistent ache. It costs you energy that could be spent on building, but instead gets spent on justifying why you're not building. It costs you respect, not from others, but from yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, a small piece of your relationship with yourself erodes. It costs you joy, real joy, the kind that comes from growth, from pushing past what you thought was possible, from discovering capabilities you didn't know you had. Instead, you get the shallow comfort of the familiar, the relief of not having to try, the safety of the small. But there's another cost that nobody talks about, and it's the cruelest one. It costs you time. Every single day that you remain in the same place, you're not becoming, you're not building, you're not creating the life you actually want. You're maintaining the life you currently have. And time is the one resource that you cannot earn back. It only moves in one direction, and you're spending it staying small. Think about how much energy you expend on convincing yourself that staying the same is acceptable. The mental gymnastics, the justifications, the conversations in your head where you explain why right now isn't the right time. How many hours have you spent on that internal argument? How much of your creative energy has been diverted from building to defending your position? How many times have you talked yourself out of moving forward? That is also a cost, a massive one. If you stay the same for one more year, you will look back and realize you stayed the same for 10 years. Inertia is powerful. It's easier to maintain a pattern than to break it. It's easier to keep living the same day over and over than to construct a new one. The path of least resistance always feels easier in the moment and leaves you devastated in the reflection. Here is what changes when you accept the cost. You realize you can't afford not to move. You realize that staying comfortable is more expensive than taking a risk. You realize that the pain of growth, the discomfort of transformation, the difficulty of building something that matters, all of it is cheaper than the cumulative cost of remaining the same. Show up, especially today. Show up, especially today. Show up. especially today, because today is the one cost you can actually prevent. Today is the one day you can choose differently. You cannot change yesterday. You cannot change a year ago. You cannot change the decade you spent in the same place. But you can change today. You can make one different decision. You can show up in one way that's different from how you've shown up before. And if you do that today, you can do it tomorrow, and the day after. And then, suddenly, a week has passed where you showed up differently. A month, a year. And the cost of staying the same becomes impossible to justify because you've already begun to experience the cost of the alternative, which is actually freedom. The real cost isn't the effort of transformation. It's the certainty of becoming nothing if you don't. Chapter 5. Building the Fortress of Focus. Your attention is the most valuable resource you possess, and you're giving it away for free. Every single notification, every interruption, every moment where your mind leaves what you're building to chase what's urgent, that's a theft. Not by someone else, but by you. You are the thief stealing from your own future. You are dismantling the fortress before the enemy even arrives. When you understand focus as a discipline rather than a feeling, everything changes. Focus is not something that you find when the conditions are perfect. It's something that you build when the conditions are chaotic. It's not a luxury available only to those with ideal circumstances. It's the foundational skill that creates the circumstances you want. Focus works like a root system. The deeper you allow your attention to penetrate into a single project, a single skill, a single direction, the more you can draw nourishment from the ground. But if you're constantly pulling up the roots to check if they're growing, constantly shifting the direction to chase something new, constantly fragmenting your attention across multiple directions, nothing can grow deep enough to support real weight. You remain shallow, fragile, easily toppled. The fortress of focus is built daily. It starts the moment you wake up. Before you check anything external, you remind yourself of what you're building. You state it. You see it. You feel it. You protect it. Then you move through your day with a simple practice. Every moment where you're tempted to break focus, you ask a single question. Does this serve the work? If the answer is no, you cut it. If it drains your focus, you eliminate it immediately. This is not about being rigid or robotic. This is about being intentional. Some conversations serve the work. Some inputs serve the work. Some activities rest you so that you can return to the work stronger. Those are kept. Everything else is removed. Not theoretically, actually removed. Deleted. Blocked. Abandoned. If it drains your focus, cut it. If it drains your focus, cut it. If it drains your focus, cut it. The people who build empires are not more talented than you. They're not more intelligent than you. They're not blessed with better circumstances than you. They're simply more ruthless about protecting their focus. They understand that saying yes to everything is the same as saying no to the one thing that matters. They've learned that every moment spent on what doesn't matter is a moment stolen from what does. When you become this ruthless with your attention, you'll be amazed at what becomes possible. The book that seemed impossible to write, the skill that seemed too hard to develop, the business that seemed unrealistic to build. None of it was impossible. You just didn't have the focus to do it because you were broken into fragments, each one serving something different. Focus is not natural. It's a fortress you build through deliberate practice. Every day you protect it. Every day you rebuild it. Every day you choose what gets your attention and what doesn't. And as the months pass, as you stack the focused days one on top of another, you'll look up and realize you've built something real, something substantial, something that couldn't have been built any other way. Your attention, your focus, your mind, these are yours to protect or yours to surrender. Choose carefully. Chapter 6. What you repeat, you become. There is no such thing as a small action taken repeatedly. You think the thing that separates you from where you want to be is a monumental shift, a dramatic change, a big break, a massive opportunity. But that's not how humans actually transform. Humans transform through the accumulation of small actions, barely noticeable in any single moment, that compound into unrecognizable differences over months and years. The small thing repeated becomes the large thing lived. Every morning you wake up and choose discipline over comfort. You're not just disciplining that moment. You're building a version of yourself that knows discipline. Every time you have a conversation with excellence instead of mediocrity, you're not just having that conversation. You're becoming a person who speaks with excellence. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you're not just making that decision. You're building the character that makes those decisions automatically. This is what you repeat, you become. If you repeat self-doubt, you become someone who doubts. If you repeat making excuses, you become someone who can always find a reason why. If you repeat showing up halfway, you become someone who expects mediocrity from yourself. The repetition carves a groove in the mind, and the groove becomes a path, and the path becomes your default. This is how character is built. This is how limits are set. This is how people become trapped in versions of themselves that no longer serve them. But the opposite is equally true. If you repeat clarity, you become someone who knows what they want. If you repeat showing up, you become someone reliable. If you repeat excellence, you become someone capable. If you repeat discipline, you become someone strong. What you repeat, you become. What you repeat, you become. What you repeat, you become. The work of becoming is not about doing something once perfectly. It's about doing something imperfectly 1,000 times until the imperfection becomes precision through repetition. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it until you become someone who always shows up. It's about being kind to yourself in your failure, learning from it, and showing up again tomorrow. This is why the small daily practices matter more than the grand gestures. The person who does 15 minutes of focused work every single day becomes a different person than the person who tries to do 8 hours once a month. The person who has one conversation with kindness every day becomes a different person than the person who tries to be nice occasionally. The repetition is where the magic lives. And the beautiful part is this: you're already becoming someone through repetition. You're already carving grooves in your mind through what you're doing every day. The question is not whether repetition will shape you. The question is what you're choosing to repeat. What patterns are you reinforcing? What version of yourself are you building through the small, daily, barely noticeable actions that you're taking? Because that version is coming. You're already becoming it. You might as well choose to repeat something that's worth becoming. Chapter 7. When the resistance arrives. You will face a moment where everything inside you screams to stop. It won't come when you expect it. It won't arrive as a dramatic crisis. It will come quietly, insidiously, disguised as wisdom. It will tell you that this is too hard, that you're not actually built for this, that the effort required isn't worth the uncertain result, that maybe you should wait until you're more ready, more confident, more sure. It will sound like protection. It will feel like truth. It will be neither. This is the resistance, and it comes for everyone. The resistance doesn't arrive because you're weak. It arrives because you're growing. Growth always triggers resistance. Resistance from inside your own mind. Resistance from people around you who are comfortable with the old version of you. Resistance from a world that prefers you to stay small and predictable. The resistance is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. The resistance is a sign that you're on the path that matters. When it arrives, you have two choices. You can turn back, return to comfort, and spend the rest of your life wondering what would have happened if you'd kept going. Or you can move through the resistance, not as if it doesn't exist, but knowing that the other side of it is expansion. Here's what people don't tell you about the resistance. It doesn't destroy you. It tests you. It refines you. It reveals whether you're actually committed or just playing at commitment. Every person who has built something that matters has faced this exact moment. Every single one. And the separating line was never talent or intelligence or circumstance. It was whether they walked through the resistance or turned back. Rise again, every time. Rise again, every time. Rise again, every time. This is not about forcing yourself through with gritted teeth and internal violence. This is about understanding that the resistance is a temporary storm, not a permanent barrier. You can stand in it. You can move through it. You can keep going even when it's uncomfortable. And on the other side, you'll find that you're stronger, clearer, more capable, more yourself. The resistance will visit again. It always does. And each time you move through it, it loses a little bit of its power over you. You become someone who knows that resistance is not a reason to stop. It's information. It's a sign that something valuable is on the other side. And that knowledge, that hard-won understanding, becomes your superpower. You don't need to wait until the resistance is gone to move forward. You just need to decide that moving forward is more important than waiting for comfort. And then you keep moving, through the doubt, through the fear, through the moments where it feels impossible. Because on the other side of every resistance you've moved through in your life, you found that you were still standing. And you'll find that again. Chapter 8. The Architecture of Your Day. Your day is not random. It's a reflection of your values or a denial of them. Every single choice about how you spend your time is a statement. It says, "This matters to me," or it says, "This doesn't, but I'll do it anyway." When you look at how you're actually spending your hours, not how you wish you were spending them, but how you're actually spending them, you see the truth about your priorities. Not your stated priorities, your actual ones. This is why the architecture of your day is so critical. It's the physical manifestation of your intentions. It's the proof of your commitment, or the evidence of your drift. The architecture of a powerful day looks like this. It begins with intention, not reaction. You know what the day is for before the day knows what you are for. You've identified the 3 things that matter, and you've protected time for them. You've removed or minimized the things that fragment your attention. You've structured your energy so that your best self faces your most important work, not your most depleted self. This doesn't mean rigidity. It means clarity. It means knowing the difference between a flexible structure that serves you and no structure at all, which is just chaos disguised as freedom. When you build the architecture of your day intentionally, something remarkable happens. You stop being a reaction machine. You stop being pulled by every notification, every demand, every opinion. You become a person with a direction. Your yes becomes powerful because you have a clear no. Your focus becomes real because it's protected by structure. Hold the vision. Tight. Hold the vision. Tight. Hold the vision. Tight. The day that changes your life is the day that you decide your time is more valuable than anyone else's comfort. The day you decide that your 3 most important things matter more than anyone's interruptions. The day you decide to protect your morning, to protect your evening, to protect the space where real work happens, to stop being available for everything and become unavailable for the things that don't matter. Most people never do this. They remain available, responsive, reactive. They live other people's days instead of their own. They wonder why they never have time for the things they care about, never realizing that they've given that time away in small surrenders throughout the day. But you can choose differently starting now. You can look at tomorrow and decide that it's going to be architected, that it's going to have a shape, that it's going to serve your vision instead of serving everyone else's needs. You can start small. Protect 1 hour. Make it sacred. Do the work that matters. See what happens. Then protect another hour. Then another. Then a morning. Then a whole day architected by you, for you, serving what you're building. The architecture of your day is the architecture of your life. Build it intentionally. Chapter 9. The people you keep around you. Your circle is not your support system. It's your orbit. You are the average of the 5 people closest to you, not because they directly influence you, but because you unconsciously match their energy, their standards, their expectations, and their limitations. If everyone in your immediate circle believes small things, you will absorb that belief. If everyone around you is comfortable with mediocrity, you will feel the gravity of that comfort pulling you down. If everyone you spend time with is stuck, stuck is what you will become, no matter how much you individually resist it. This is not a philosophical point. This is a practical reality about how human beings are constructed. We are tribal creatures. We are mimetic creatures. We absorb the culture of our tribe. And if your tribe is not committed to growth, not building toward something larger, not pushing against limitation, then you're spending your daily life in an environment that normalizes your smallness. The first thing you must do is become honest about your circle. Not who you wish they were, who they actually are. What are they building? What are they afraid of? What do they believe is possible? What do they celebrate? What do they accept as normal? If you're serious about transformation, you must look at this clearly and without sentimentality. Then you must make peace with an uncomfortable truth. Some people will not be part of your next chapter. Not because they're bad people, not because you don't care about them, but because they're anchored to a place you're leaving. And if you stay connected out of obligation or guilt, you'll find yourself pulled back repeatedly. You'll feel the gravity of their doubt. You'll absorb their comfort with limitation. You'll weaken your own commitment. This is where many people fail. They can't make the hard choice to step back from people who no longer serve their growth. They call it disloyalty. They call it abandonment. They stay connected, and they stay small with them. But there's something else that happens simultaneously. You must actively seek out people who are on their own journey of growth. Not people you admire from a distance, people you actually spend time with, people who are building something, people who challenge you, people who hold a higher standard, people who believe expansion is possible, people who make you want to be better because they embody better. Show up. Especially today, show up. Especially today, show up. Especially today. Your circle is the water you swim in. You don't notice it until you get out of it and realize you've been swimming in an environment that was designed to keep you small. Then you swim in different water, and you remember what it feels like to move freely, to grow, to breathe. This doesn't mean being cold or cutting people off violently. It means making conscious decisions about proximity. It means understanding that you can wish someone well from a distance. It means knowing that your primary responsibility is to the future you're building, and that future requires a different circle than your past. Choose the people around you with the same care you choose your words, because they will shape who you become just as surely as your words shape your reality. Chapter 10. When failure becomes fuel. You have not failed enough. This is the truth that separates those who succeed from those who spend their lives at the edge of it, afraid to fully commit. Those who build something real have a certain relationship with failure that others don't have. They don't view it as information about their worth. They view it as information about their approach. They don't see it as proof that they shouldn't try. They see it as proof that they tried, learned something, and now know how to try differently. Failure is data. It's feedback. It's the world telling you something that you needed to know. Every failure is either a reason to never try again or a lesson that makes your next attempt smarter. The choice is yours. What holds most people back is not a lack of ability. It's a fear of failure so strong that they never generate enough failures to reach success. They're held in a state of precarious safety where they've never risked enough to lose, but they've also never risked enough to win. They remain suspended between possible and impossible, never landing anywhere real. But failure is the ground beneath your feet. It's solid. It's real. And the more you fail, the more solid ground you have to build upon. The person who has failed 50 times in their pursuit is incomparably more advanced than the person who has tried once and avoided failure through inaction. Stack the days, stack the wins, stack the days, stack the wins, stack the days, stack the wins. This requires a specific practice. You must learn to separate your identity from your outcomes. You are not your failures. Your failures are things that happened to your projects, your attempts, your strategies. They're not things that happened to you as a person. This is the psychological shift that makes failure tolerable and even valuable. When you can look at a failure and ask, "What did this teach me?" instead of, "What does this say about me?" you've changed your relationship with failure entirely. Now it becomes useful. Now it becomes the thing that accelerates your learning. Now the person who has failed more than you is the person who is ahead, not behind. This is not about being reckless. This is about being intelligent with your risk. You take calculated risks. You try things. You measure the results. You adjust. You try again. You do this repeatedly, moving closer to your target with each iteration. And the person who does this 10 times beats the person who does it once. The person who does it 100 times beats the person who does it 10. Your failures are your resume. They're the proof of your commitment. They're the evidence that you've actually tried. So, fail. Fail forwards. Fail with learning. Fail with curiosity. Fail with the knowledge that this is exactly what is supposed to happen on the path to something real. The only true failure is the failure to try again after you've fallen. Chapter 11. The Mirror of Consistency. You cannot hide from yourself forever. Consistency is the mirror that shows you who you actually are, not who you say you are, not who you want to be, who you are right now, based on what you're actually doing. Every day you keep a promise to yourself. The mirror shows you someone a little bit stronger. Every day you break a promise, the mirror shows you someone a little bit weaker. The mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't offer comfort. It only reflects truth. This is why consistency is the most underrated force in personal transformation. It doesn't come with fanfare. It doesn't announce itself. It just accumulates. Day after day, choice after choice, the consistent person becomes unrecognizable to themselves, not because they did something extraordinary once, but because they did something ordinary 1,000 times. Most people want transformation without consistency. They want the result without the repeated action. They want to be brave, but they're not willing to do the brave thing every day. They want to be disciplined, but they're not willing to choose discipline when no one is watching. They want to be that person, but they don't want to become that person. And the two are not the same. Becoming requires consistency. It requires the daily choice when you could break character, but you don't. It requires the private integrity that no one sees and no one will ever know about unless you become so successful that people study your life. But you'll know, and the mirror will know. The practice is this. You make a commitment to yourself about something specific, not vague. Specific. You decide exactly what you will do and when you will do it. Then you do it, every day, when you feel like it and when you don't, when it's convenient and when it's not, when you see results and when you don't. You do it anyway. Because the commitment was not conditional. The commitment was a statement. I am the kind of person who does this. Guard your mind. Own your path. Guard your mind. Own your path. Guard your mind. Own your path. Over time, this becomes who you are. Not a persona, an identity, not an aspiration, a reality. The person who keeps their promises, the person who shows up, the person who follows through. This is what others see. But more importantly, this is what you see when you look in the mirror. And that reflection is the real transformation. Consistency also builds a different kind of power, momentum. The first day of showing up is hard. The second day is harder because you're tired. But by day 30, you're no longer fighting inertia. The momentum is carrying you. By day 100, you're almost a different person. By a year, you are a different person. The person who didn't need you to motivate them to show up anymore, because showing up has become who they are. This is the person you're building, not through inspiration or motivation, which are temporary, but through consistency, which is permanent. The mirror will reflect this back to you, day by day, choice by choice, until you become unshakable. Chapter 12. The vision that pulls you forward. You cannot move toward something you cannot see. Vision is not fantasy. It's not wishful thinking or daydreaming about a perfect future that will never come. Real vision is a specific, vivid, emotionally resonant image of what you're building. It's not vague. It's not aspirational in the way that feels distant. It's concrete. You can see it. You can feel it. You can describe it in detail. And most importantly, you can feel it pulling you forward every single day. The difference between vision and fantasy is this. Vision has a thread that connects it to today. Vision is not something you hope for. Vision is something you're actively constructing. Every action you take is a brick in the building. Every day is another layer. Every month is another section complete. You're not waiting for the vision to appear. You're manifesting it through the work you do today. This is why so many people never achieve their vision. They hold it so loosely that they've forgotten it. They let it become vague in their mind. They allow other people's priorities to replace their own. They start moving toward someone else's dream because they weren't holding their own tightly enough. And by the time they realize it, years have passed, and they're in a completely different place than where they wanted to be. But when you hold your vision tightly, when you refresh it daily, when you feel it, when you let it orient every decision you make, it becomes a compass, a gravitational center. It pulls. It doesn't push. You're not fighting to stay focused. You're drawn toward what you're building. Hold the vision. Tight. Hold the vision. Tight. Hold the vision. Tight. Here's the daily practice. Every morning, before the world gets loud, you remind yourself of your vision. Not as an abstract dream, as a present reality you're building. You see it. You feel it. You ask yourself, what does the person who has achieved this vision do today? How would they spend this day? What would they prioritize? What would they refuse? Then you become that person for this day. You take the actions that person would take. This is not about forcing or visualizing your way to success. This is about using vision as a navigation tool. It's about asking, am I moving toward my vision or away from it? Is this decision aligned or misaligned? Is this person, this opportunity, this commitment taking me closer or further? And when something is not aligned, you have the clarity to cut it. Most people lack this clarity. They move in the direction of the loudest voice, the most immediate problem, the path of least resistance. But when you have a clear vision, you have something stronger than any of those forces. You have direction. You have purpose. You have a reason to say no to things that don't serve where you're going. The vision also protects you in the difficult moments. When the work gets hard, when the resistance arrives, when you question whether it's worth it, you return to your vision. You remember why you're doing this. You feel it again. And the difficulty becomes tolerable because it's in service of something that matters. Without vision, effort is just effort. It's exhausting. It's endless. It goes nowhere. But with vision, effort is meaningful. It's directional. It's the price of building something real. And that price suddenly feels worth paying. Your vision is waiting. It's not vague or far away. It's here, now, embedded in every single day, if you're bold enough to see it and committed enough to build toward it. The question is not whether the vision will manifest. The question is whether you'll hold it long enough and commit to it strongly enough to actually build it. The choice is yours. But the choice is not tomorrow. The choice is now. Chapter 13. Rising from everything you've learned. You are not the same person who started this audiobook. Even if you're still in the same room, the same circumstances, the same external situation, something has shifted inside you. You've been exposed to truths. You've heard patterns that ring true because they reflect what you already know, but have been afraid to fully acknowledge. You've been given permission to own your life, to protect your focus, to reject the noise, to move toward your vision. Now the real work begins, because understanding something is not the same as becoming it. Hearing the truth is not the same as living it. Recognizing the pattern is not the same as breaking it and building something new. The question now is simple. What are you going to do? You can return to your life tomorrow, and everything can remain exactly as it was. You can go back to the noise. You can return to the distractions. You can fall back into the patterns that have held you. It will be easy. The inertia is powerful. The resistance will be significant. Your old circle will pull you back toward the familiar. Your old thoughts will return, offering comfort and justification. And 6 months from now, you'll be in exactly the same place, wondering if anything was actually possible for you. Or you can choose differently. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just differently. You can choose to protect your focus for one day, just one. You can identify the work that matters most and do it before anything else gets to claim your attention. You can stay off the noise for 24 hours and see what becomes possible. You can take one step toward your vision, just one, and then tomorrow you can do it again. Show up, especially today. Show up, especially today. Show up, especially today. This is how transformation actually happens, not in a moment of inspiration that lasts for 2 weeks, not in a dramatic decision that fades by Thursday, but in the daily choice to rise, to show up, to move toward your vision, to protect your focus, to own your path, to do it again tomorrow, and the day after that. The architecture of your transformation is not complicated. It's the simplest thing in the world, and that simplicity is what makes it so powerful. Because simple is sustainable. Simple doesn't require motivation. Simple is just a daily practice that becomes who you are. Choose the work over the noise. Stack the days. Stack the wins. Guard your mind. own your path. If it drains your focus, cut it. What you repeat, you become. Rise again, every time. These are not inspirational phrases. They are instructions. They are the map. They are the tools you need to transform yourself from someone who is waiting for rescue into someone who is doing the rescuing. Who is the rescuer? You. You are the one who's been waiting for. You are the salvation you've been seeking. No one else is coming. No one else is going to build your life for you. No one else is going to move you from where you are to where you want to be. And when you finally accept this, when you stop waiting and start rising, everything changes. The weight lifts. The clarity arrives. The power that was always inside you suddenly becomes accessible because you stopped looking outside for it. You have everything you need right now, in this moment. You have the mind. You have the capability. You have the power to choose differently. You have the strength to move toward your vision. You have the discipline to do the work that matters. You have the clarity to refuse what doesn't. You have all of it. You've always had all of it. What you didn't have was permission. What you didn't have was someone telling you that it was okay to stop waiting, that it was okay to take ownership, that it was okay to rise, that it was okay to become. I'm telling you now, it's okay, more than okay. It's the only way. It's the only path that leads anywhere real. Rise. Epilogue. The unbreakable you. This is where the real work begins. Not tomorrow, today, this hour, this moment. You've been given the framework. You've heard the truth. You've been reminded of what you already know, but may have forgotten. Now comes the part where you prove it. Not to anyone else, to yourself. The version of you that is unbreakable is not a fantasy. It's not something that happens to special people or people with perfect circumstances. It's something that is built by people who decide to build it. Deliberately, daily, with commitment that doesn't waver. This version of you wakes up and knows what the day is for. This version protects their focus like they protect their life, because focus is life. It's how life gets lived. This version refuses the noise and the distractions and the endless noise that promises to help but only fragments. This version owns their path completely, accepting that they are responsible for what they build and what they become. This version stacks the days, one focused day, then another, until the days accumulate into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, and you look back and realize you've built something real, something substantial, something that didn't come from waiting or hoping or wishing, something that came from showing up over and over to do the work that matters. This version is not perfect. This version still faces resistance. This version still gets tired. This version still doubts sometimes. But this version moves forward anyway. This version understands that the resistance is not a sign to stop. The tiredness is not permission to quit. The doubt is not the final word. This version moves through all of it because the commitment is bigger than the feeling. This version is unbreakable, not because they never fall, but because they always rise, every single time, without waiting for someone to pick them up, without waiting for the right moment, without waiting for permission or clarity or confidence. They rise. They keep moving. They keep building. They keep becoming. You can be this version. Not eventually. Not someday. Now. The decision is now. The commitment is now. The first focused day is now. The first moment of owning your path is now. The first time you choose the work over the noise is now. There is no preparation that will make you ready. There is no perfect moment waiting in the future. There is only this moment, this decision, this choice. And the hundreds and thousands of times you'll make the same choice after this, until it becomes automatic, until it becomes who you are. You are not weak. You were never weak. You were just waiting for someone else to make you strong. But strength doesn't come from outside. It comes from inside, built deliberately through the accumulation of small choices made in the direction of your vision. You are not broken. You were never broken. You were just looking for rescue in the wrong place. But rescue is not coming from outside. It's coming from you, raising yourself, building yourself, becoming what you know you're capable of becoming. You are not lost. You were never lost. You were just listening to everyone else's directions instead of trusting your own compass. But the compass is inside. The direction is inside. The power is inside. And it has been there all along, waiting for you to finally claim it. This is the end of this audiobook. But this is the beginning of your real work. What you've heard here, the refrains, the truths, the frameworks, these are not new. You know them. You've always known them. What you've done here is remembered. You've reconnected with what you already know about yourself. Your capability, your power, your responsibility. Now, you're going to take this and you're going to live it. You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to protect your focus. You're going to choose the work over the noise. You're going to guard your mind and own your path. you're going to show up. Not because someone is watching, not because you'll feel better immediately, but because you're building something that matters, and the only way to build it is to show up over and over with commitment and clarity and the knowledge that you are the only one who can do this. And you will do it, because you've finally stopped waiting for someone else to save you, because you've finally accepted that the person you've been waiting for is you, because you're finally ready to rise. Stack the days, stack the wins, guard your mind, own your path, choose the work over the noise, hold the vision tight, show up, especially today. If it drains your focus, cut it, rise again. Every time, what you repeat, you become. This is your life. This is your vision. This is your work. And it starts now. Rise. You are ready. You have always been ready. You are unbreakable. And now you rise.